They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But when your coworker copies everything, while destroying your reputation behind your back, it becomes something far more dangerous. I'm Isabella Reyes, and for 3 years I was the quiet worker behind some of our company's biggest wins. They never expected someone who looked like me to have anything worth listening to. But while other people fought for attention and played the politics game, I stayed quiet and worked on creating really great campaigns. Good data, smart ideas, results that turned doubtful clients into happy customers. I should have noticed the warning signs earlier, like the way Chelsea watched me from across the room at the company holiday party, her gaze calculating and cold. Later in the bathroom, she leaned in with a smile as sharp as glass and said, "Wow, Isabella, that dress is so bright. You're definitely not afraid to be seen." Her tone was sweet, but her eyes burned with something mean. Was I imagining it? That slight delay when they nodded during my ideas? The way people laughed just a little harder at her jokes than mine? I started second-guessing myself in the mirror. Was I really too polished? Too quiet? Too much? What I didn't know was that my calm presence and unwillingness to play the noise game had made me a target. Chelsea Doyle had been watching me since my first day. At 34, she had the kind of confidence that filled rooms and got everyone's attention, but there was something about the way her smile tightened whenever male colleagues complimented my presentations. Senior workers loved everything she said. New employees wanted her approval more than anything. I was deep in edits when I heard it, that sing-song voice that always meant trouble. "Izzy!" Chelsea called, stretching my name like a ribbon loud enough for the whole floor to hear. "You work so hard. It's honestly inspiring." She strolled up behind my desk with her latte in hand, already scanning my screen without asking. I felt the shift around us. Keyboards quieted. Conversations paused. Chelsea never offered help without an audience. "Ooh, is this your Morrison draft?" she asked brightly, her tone just shy of patronizing. "It's coming together really nicely." Then she leaned in, pointing to the header at the top of my presentation. Why do you format it like this?" she asked, head tilted in mock curiosity. "It's just, a little hard to follow at first glance." Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried, the kind of volume that invited quiet listening. "And this stat, are you sure that's the best source? I mean, it's fine if we're just brainstorming, but for a client pitch, you might want something a little more substantial." I said nothing. Around us, I could feel the listeners pretending not to listen. "Honestly," she said, leaning in just a little, "you don't have to go all out on everything, Izzy." She gave a small shrug as if she was doing me a favor. "You're already doing well, people notice. But when things feel a little too polished, it can start to feel like, a bit much, you know?" Her smile was gentle, almost sisterly. "Just something to think about. Sometimes it's nice to leave space for the rest of the team to grow too." That smile stayed fixed, but the message was clear. "Back off. Don't outshine me." Then she walked off. I sat still for a moment. The hum of the office returned, and I turned back to my screen, every sentence now a quiet act of war. Those coffee meetings started as help. Chelsea said she was the experienced mentor helping me learn office politics. But somewhere along the way, helping became spying on every detail of my life. "Hey, I just want to let you know. Some of the guys thought your last outfit was a little, distracting. Not me, I loved it." She'd drop these comments casually, always with a sweet smile. "I don't know how you pull it off. You're always so put together. I'd be exhausted trying to look that perfect every day." Each compliment felt like a paper cut. She started dressing exactly like me, copying the dresses that had caught everyone's attention, mimicking the jackets that made me look polished, even stealing the exact shade of red lipstick that had become my signature. When I ordered my usual salmon salad at lunch, Chelsea would announce she was craving the exact same thing, as if she could absorb whatever it was that made people notice me. Great minds think alike, she'd laugh, but her eyes looked calculating as she studied my every move. The copying might have been flattering if it stopped there, but Chelsea's obsession went way deeper than trying to look like me. During team meetings, Chelsea would interrupt me while I was still talking. "Well, to really make this work across departments," she'd say loudly, "we need to think about how it connects to the bigger picture." She'd wave toward the slides I had just explained, using fancy words to make it sound like she was adding something important. But really, she was just repeating what I'd already said. Then she'd smile and say, "What Isabella means is," and explain my own idea again, only slower, as if I hadn't said it clearly enough. I sat there, trying not to show anything on my face. And somehow, everyone started thinking the idea had come from her. When I wore lipstick, I was trying too hard. When I didn't, I looked tired. When I spoke up, I was aggressive. When I didn't, I was disengaged. There was no winning, only adjusting. Slowly and carefully, she started rewriting the story of every project we'd worked on together, always with subtle digs about how my appearance affected my credibility. The gossip campaign started in the break room. Mean comments dropped into normal conversations like poison. "Isabella's nice, but have you noticed how she only speaks up when the male bosses are around?" Chelsea would say while stirring her coffee, her voice dripping with false concern. "I'm not saying she's using her looks to get ahead, but..." She'd let the implication hang like smoke, subtle at first but slowly choking the room. "I worry she's not really a team player," she'd tell Sarah from accounting. "She keeps her ideas secret. Plus, did you see how she dressed for the client dinner? Kind of attention-seeking, you know?" Within weeks, everything changed. Women who used to ask for my help started leaving me out of planning meetings, their friendliness replaced by cool professionalism tinged with resentment. Lunch invitations stopped. Even casual Friday conversations would pause when I walked into the room, as if my presence itself was somehow threatening. I hadn't noticed I was disappearing, like color drained from a photograph, pixel by pixel. Until one day I was just the outline left behind someone else's success. I started bringing my lunch in Tupperware just to avoid the cafeteria silence. Some days I'd pretend I had meetings just to eat in the supply closet. It was easier than sitting at a table where my name made everyone go quiet. I didn't want revenge, I just wanted to feel like I hadn't been erased while someone else pretended to be me. "Isabella thinks she's better than us," I heard Melissa whisper to Rebecca by the printer. "Chelsea says she acts all sweet and innocent, but she knows exactly what she's doing. Pretty girls always do." The worst part wasn't being left out, it was watching Chelsea wear my stolen ideas like expensive clothes. Taking credit for campaigns I'd spent months creating while simultaneously undermining my credibility by suggesting I was all style and no substance. They'd reduced me to a pretty face who helped with the decorative parts while Chelsea got credit for the strategic thinking I'd actually done. But Chelsea's boldest move, the one she thought would break me, came during the Hartwell pitch. Hartwell Industries was everything our company wanted. A $12 million contract with a European luxury company looking to expand into America. Getting this account would change our company from small business to major player. I spent 4 months creating the marketing plan. Late nights studying consumer data, cultural differences, and what competitors were doing. It was the smartest plan I'd ever built. A blend of emotion and math that predicted customer behavior with uncanny accuracy. "This is amazing, Isabella," our department head Marcus had said when I first showed him the plan privately. "We've never seen customer prediction modeling this good." Marcus meant well, but he was more comfortable avoiding conflict than standing up to Chelsea's games. 3 days before the final presentation, Chelsea knocked on my office door. "Izzy, sweetheart, we need to talk." Her voice had that fake sweetness I'd learned to fear. "Marcus and I have been talking about the presentation team, and we're worried about putting too much pressure on you. Marcus values my polish, as he puts it. I've always known how to say the right things to the right people. The Hartwell executives are, how do I say this nicely?" she said, her voice syrupy. "They're old-school European businessmen, Very traditional. We think having too many female voices might confuse the message. My blood went cold. Are you taking me off the presentation? Not taking you off, changing your role, you'll still get credit for your research. But I will handle the strategy overview since I have more experience with clients from other countries. She paused, her voice taking on that patronizing tone I'd grown to hate. We're a team, we don't all need to shine every time, right? Experience with clients from other countries? Chelsea, who had never worked outside California, and whose idea of cultural research was watching foreign movies. Marcus, this plan is my work. Every algorithm, every insight. And it's brilliant work, Isabella. That's exactly why we need our most experienced presenter delivering it. Chelsea's presentation skills will do your strategy justice. The morning of the presentation, our conference room buzzed with nervous energy. Hartwell's investment team had flown in from Geneva just for this pitch. If we got their account, our company would triple in size within 2 years. Mr. Levine walked in at exactly 9 a.m. A gray-haired man in his 60s, whose quiet elegance suggested old money and old wisdom. He moved with the calm confidence of someone who'd built empires through careful watching rather than loud talking. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said in accented English, "we appreciate your hospitality. Hartwell Industries is very picky about partnerships. We're here because your early work impressed our European team." Chelsea glowed under his attention, smoothing her jacket, a navy piece identical to one I'd worn the previous month. The presentation started perfectly. Our creative team showed stunning visuals. Account management explained timelines. Financial projections painted happy pictures of mutual success. Then Chelsea stood to present the strategic plan. For 20 minutes, she delivered my work with polished confidence. Every slide change hit perfectly. Every data point landed with practice precision. She was a perfect performer presenting a symphony she had never written. The room seemed charmed. Board members nodded approvingly. Junior staff looked on with admiration. Even I had to admit her delivery was flawless. Until Mr. Levine raised his hand. "Excuse me, Ms. Doyle, this emotion tracking method, it's quite sophisticated. Can you walk us through the math formulas that create these prediction scores?" I raised my hand from the back corner. "I can explain the methodology. Actually, Mr. Levine, Isabella isn't part of the presentation team today." Chelsea's voice cut through the room like a blade. "She's here to observe and learn. I think it's best if I handle the technical questions since I developed this framework." She turned to me with a sickeningly sweet smile. "Isabella, why don't you take notes? That's what you're here for." The dismissal hit like a slap. My cheeks burned. Every eye in the room watched as she tried to reduce me to a secretary in front of the most important client of our careers. Mr. Levine's eyebrows rose slightly, but he turned back to Chelsea. "Very well, please proceed with explaining your statistical methodology." "Of course. The math formulas use, really smart math stuff to, Chelsea's confidence began to crack. "To look at feelings and make, guesses about what people will do." "I see. And what type of statistical modeling specifically? Are you using regression trees, neural networks, clustering algorithms?" "Well, it's a combination of different mathematical type approaches." Sweat was visible on her forehead now. "The important thing is that it works really well and gives us good predictions. Ms. Doyle, I'm looking at some interesting correlation coefficients here. Can you walk me through your R-squared values and how you handled multicollinearity in your variables?" "R-squared? Yes. Those are very important numbers. We, we made sure they were, good numbers. High-quality numbers." The room was dead silent. Mr. Levine's expression shifted from professional curiosity to barely concealed concern. Ms. Doyle, what's your p-value threshold for statistical significance in this model? P-values. Yes. We use the standard p-values, the normal ones that everyone uses. The room went completely silent. Everyone just stared. Chelsea's face turned red, and she kept opening and closing her mouth like she was trying to speak but couldn't find the words. It was clear to everyone now. She didn't understand any of it. And she knew it. The embarrassment on her face was so strong, it was like watching someone realize they were standing on stage with no clothes. Ms. Doyle, did you actually create this plan? The question hit like a physical blow. Chelsea's face turned bright red as every eye in the room stared at her with laser focus. The confident presenter had become a deer caught in headlights, and everyone could see the truth written on her face. Of course that is, my team and I work together. Please sit down, Mr. Levine said quietly. The words had no anger, just disappointed finality. He glanced toward Marcus with one raised eyebrow, a look that made our department head shift uncomfortably in his seat. The unspoken question hung in the air. How did you let this happen? Mr. Levine slowly turned his gaze to me. Ms. Isabel Reyes, would you please stand and join us? I believe we need someone who actually understands this methodology. Every head turned toward me. The sudden attention felt like stepping into bright sunlight after hours in darkness. My palms weren't sweating, my heart wasn't racing. Maybe because deep down I'd always known this moment would come. I just hoped it wouldn't take this much pain to get here. Yes, sir, I did. Would you join us at the front? I stood and walked to the presentation area with steady steps. Thank you, Mr. Levine. To answer your earlier questions, we used a hybrid approach combining gradient boosting algorithms with sentiment analysis neural networks. Our R-squared values consistently hit 0.87 or higher across all demographic segments. For the next 15 minutes, I walked him through every detail of the plan I'd built. Not memorized talking points or impressive words, but deep understanding flowing from months of careful work. I explained the math foundations, demonstrated the prediction systems, and answered follow-up questions with the ease of someone discussing her own creation. The room had transformed. Where moments earlier Chelsea had struggled in uncomfortable silence, now the air crackled with a kind of electric engagement. Board members leaned forward with genuine curiosity. Even our own team members looked at me with new appreciation. Remarkable, Mr. Levine said when I finished. In 30 years of investing, I've rarely seen strategic thinking this smart. He turned to address our CEO, but his words carried clearly through the room's perfect acoustics. If Hartwell Industries moves forward with this partnership, we would need Ms. Reyes to lead the global campaign development. Her strategic vision matches perfectly with our European expansion goals. The promotion I'd been systematically denied through Chelsea's manipulation had just been handed to me by someone who recognized competence over politics. Chelsea remained slumped in her chair, her earlier confidence completely gone. The woman who had built her reputation by stealing my work now sat exposed as a pretender in front of the people whose respect she'd wanted most. The transformation was almost cruel to watch. This was the same woman who'd strutted through the office just an hour earlier, radiating false authority and condescending smiles. Now she looked like a deflated balloon, shoulders hunched, hands trembling, her perfectly applied makeup starting to smear as nervous sweat mixed with foundation. She kept glancing around the room with darting, desperate eyes, searching for an ally, an escape route, anything to salvage what was left of her crumbling facade. But I felt no revenge, no cruel satisfaction, just deep relief that truth had finally come to light. 2 weeks later, Hartwell Industries confirmed their $12 million investment. I was named Global Strategy Director, reporting directly to the top executives. My first decision was rebuilding the strategy team to focus on skill over politics. Chelsea was moved to junior account coordination. still employed, but no longer in position to sabotage others' careers. She'd keep her job and her dignity, which was more mercy than she'd shown me. In a world where loudest often means strongest, they'd mistaken my restraint for weakness and my professionalism for scheming. Turns out, staying quiet wasn't submission. It was strategy. But Mr. Levine had recognized something different. He'd seen skill without ego, strength without cruelty, success without stepping on others. "You kept your composure beautifully during that presentation," he told me later. "Even when your colleague was struggling. That kind of staying calm under pressure is exactly what Hartwell values in leadership." Staying calm under pressure. Not revenge, not vindication, not dramatic confrontation, just dignity, while others revealed who they really were. Chelsea still works 3 doors down from my new corner office. Sometimes I catch her watching me during meetings, and I see not envy but something closer to confusion. She'd spent so much energy trying to tear me down that she'd never focused on building herself up. That's the tragedy of success built on sabotage. When the truth surfaces, there's no skill left to stand on. The truth about workplace dynamics is uncomfortable but simple. There will always be people who prefer stealing credit to earning it, who choose manipulation over merit, who mistake volume for value. But there will also always be people like Mr. Levine, individuals with enough experience to recognize genuine skill when they see it, regardless of who claims ownership. The key is maintaining your standards while others abandon theirs, building your skills while others focus on politics, staying true to your values while others compromise their integrity for temporary advantage. She used lies to pull me down, but the truth pushed me higher than I ever planned to go. Success isn't just about what you accomplish. It's about how you accomplish it. And the most satisfying victories come not from destroying your enemies, but from building something so strong that their attacks become irrelevant. In the end, skill speaks louder than conspiracy, and truth has a way of surfacing when it matters most. The question isn't whether you'll face sabotage, it's whether you'll maintain your integrity while weathering it. Because the people who matter aren't dazzled by titles. They're watching for character. And character, unlike credit, is something nobody can steal. You can steal a stage, but not a foundation. And I'd spent 3 years building mine. And when I see younger women in the hallway now, quiet, overlooked, doubted, I make sure they're not erased. Not like I almost was. She could borrow my polish, mimic my tone, steal my slides. But she could never build the beams beneath it. The framework was mine, quietly laid brick by brick.